and gentlemen, hi. First and foremost, let me express my deep and sincere sense of gratitude and appreciation to our special guest for being here with us. It is such an absolute honor to have you here at the Café with program at the American Corner. Thank you so much for the dedication. So we have as a special guest Mr. Jonathan Glasser, right? Forgive me for my... Okay. And Dr. Anna Rasmussen, right? And our beautiful singer, Fiona Ballasray. Okay, thank you so much for the dedication, and thank you so much for coming here today to share with us your wonderful experience and your acquaintance with Moroccan Gharnati music. So we have heard that today you have made an amazing and victorious show at the SER show. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience about Gharnati music?
My own experience with Gharnati began when I was in graduate school. So I was doing a doctorate, and I wrote the dissertation about Gharnati, or this particular kind of Andalusi music. And a lot of my work for the doctorate happened here in Oujda. So I spent about 8 months here with musicians and with listeners and getting to know the associations and playing with the associations. And then after that, I continued to do research. Some of that research was here, some of the research was in France. Later, some of the research was in Algeria. And then I had the very good fortune to meet Anne Rasmussen and to join her ensemble, the William and Mary Middle Eastern Music Ensemble, in 2006. So I came actually directly from Oujda, directly to Williamsburg, Virginia, and began to play with Dr. Rasmussen in the group. And we've played many different kinds of Middle Eastern and North African music. And this concert that we did was the second time that we've done a big concert with Nasruddin and Amina, because they also came in 2012 to Williamsburg, and we had a really great concert with them there as well.
I'm going to give the floor now to Dr. Anne to tell us a little bit about her department of music and how could she host such a kind of music to her department.
Good morning, everybody.
So the floor is yours.
So my experience with Arabic and Middle Eastern music also began in graduate school. I did my PhD, my doctorate in ethnomusicology at the University of California in Los Angeles. And after playing many kinds of music as a child and as a young adult, I discovered Arab music. And my dissertation actually was focused on the music of Arab Americans, so different communities of Arab immigrants living in the United States. So I met a lot of musicians, and I learned a lot about their music through playing their music. So when I joined the faculty at William and Mary, I wanted to start a Middle Eastern music ensemble because that was my experience in graduate school, and for about 20 years now the ensemble has been a great place to make music, but also an opportunity to invite guest artists from many different backgrounds who come and work with us and share their repertoire, share their music, share their culture and their history with us, both in the ensemble and in the classroom. And then sometimes we just have, sometimes the members of our ensemble know music that they'd like to do, so we learn it. We learn a lot of pieces on our own, and then of course through sort of my background and so forth. So when Jonathan joined the ensemble, he brought a whole new dimension to the group, and little by little he introduced some of the Andalusi repertoire, but it wasn't until 2012 when we invited Nasruddin Sha'ban and Amina Ben Saad from the Association Ahbab Sheikh Saleh to join us, and that was a really exciting visit, and we did a big concert, and it was a great success, and the president of our university came to see it, and Moroccan music was spread throughout the land. So this is really wonderful to be able to actually come here, and the reception last night, to be able to perform this music in Oujda with an audience like that, we won't be able to do that again in the United States. It was just really spectacular.
Thank you so much for telling us a little bit about your such a spectacular experience, as you said before. And now I'm going to invite the members of Café program who are pretty much eager and inquisitive to know much more about such a spectacular experience. So if you have any questions, I might invite.
Okay, you were great yesterday, and I liked the show. Your video is all over Facebook. Everybody say, hey, share this, it's good, and I like it. Especially I like the singer. Your voice is amazing. Thank you so much, it was great. And thank you that you play in it. So my question is, how did the idea come to you to put this mixture between Jamaiyat Sheikh Saleh and you? And what is the difficulty that you face concerning the language? I know that Arabic is quite difficult to sing in Arabic. And thank you again.
So the way we did this with Association Ahbab Sheikh Saleh was that I had worked with many of the different associations, and one of the ones I worked with closely was Ahbab Sheikh Saleh. So and Nasruddin and Amin and I stayed in touch after that time, and we were able to extend an invitation to them to come to the U.S. In order to play with us. So I know many of the different associations, and I've worked with many of the different associations, but one of the ones I worked with particularly closely was Ahbab Sheikh Saleh. In terms of language, we sing in many different languages in the ensemble: Turkish, Farsi, but mainly Arabic. Now I would say that there are certain challenges about singing singing the lyrics in the Gharnati, partly because of the rhythm is a little bit different from in the muwashahat from like Syria in Iraq. But the most difficult probably in terms of the words are the qasaid, because they're in colloquial. But we work on that and we try our best. So
I'll also say it's a great excuse for me to practice my French with Nasruddin and Amina. That was wonderful. If we were speaking only in Arabic, I mean, many students that come through our ensemble are studying Arabic, or they're interested, or they have some in their background. So we have a lot of good language skills already. And for example, in our group here, we have students who are seriously studying Russian and Chinese and other languages. So foreign languages don't scare us, but for me it was very nice to be able to practice my French. And so just in rehearsal with Nasruddin and Amina, that worked very well.
Maybe Anas has a question for you.
Hi again. I just want to know how did the whole thing start? What inspired all this in the first place?
So my field is ethnomusicology, and that's basically the study of world music from all over the world. And also people in ethnomusicology, they look at music as a window into culture. So we're not interested in just studying, say, classical music, but we're interested in popular music, children's music, ritual music, all kinds of music, good music, bad music, the whole thing. And sometimes music can be very powerful. It can be politically powerful. It can be powerful in a spiritual way. So we're interested in how music moves people. And in the field of ethnomusicology, the program that I came from stresses the idea that you need to really play the music and study with musicians, not just interview them and ask them questions and tape record and interview, but really sit down with musicians and play with them. And this methodology is similar to the methodology in anthropology, right? So this is Jonathan Glasser's field, anthropology, where the idea of participant observation, right? So you don't just ask somebody, how do you bake the bread? You get in the kitchen and you bake the bread with them, and they show you how to do it. And you can learn a lot through doing. So I came from a program where I participated in an ensemble like this, more from the Sharqi tradition, so oud, qanun, nai, rek, tabla, and viola, violin, sometimes accordion, and I played in an ensemble like that all through graduate school. And my professor said, you should do this when you become a professor. You should also teach an ensemble, and it's just become what it is today. It just keeps rolling along. It's a lot of work, but we have a lot of fun. So. What's that? It's worth the trouble. It's definitely worth the trouble.
So after you have made such a nice achievements, what are some of your future plans to come?
That's a very good question. We improvise. We improvise a lot. So we don't have a set program. But we also see who we have with us, right? So Fiona is no longer a student at our university, but she still is singing with us for some of these occasions. So, but these students are a good example, right? We have people who come and who bring certain special talents to the group and certain special interests, right? So, so we'll have to see, right? It's hard to say what we'll be doing next, but.
Well, another thing that we think about in advance is who we can invite to work with the ensemble. And there are many, many excellent Arab and Middle Eastern musicians in the United States, either people who are passing through or people who have been living there for a while. And in fact, there are a lot of artists that I know who would love to be invited by our ensemble because, we treat our guests well, and we put on a good show. And when they come, they see how serious we are about the music and the language and so forth. So I'm always thinking a little bit in advance. Who can we invite next? I've been doing some research in Oman, in the Arabian Gulf, and we actually did a trip there this January. And those musicians will be coming again. So, people come through town, and that's really nice. But this year is quite extraordinary because it's the first time we've ever gone overseas, and we made 2 trips to international destinations. So that's pretty amazing. Now, I hope. It's a good thing. People will have high expectations for us. So
to give the floor to Mr. Jawad, who has a question for you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to perform, even though I didn't attend your performance, and I'm so sorry for that. Yeah, I just want to know the reaction of people, and do you have audience in the United States for this kind of music, since it's maybe strange for them.
Maybe Fiona could answer that question.
Okay. Hello. I also talk as well as sing. When we performed the Nuba in Williamsburg, we actually had a very appreciative audience, and there are quite a few Moroccans living in the U.S. as well, as I'm sure you're aware, and particularly in Williamsburg. And they were overjoyed to hear us playing this music. So but it's nothing like the audience that you have here in Oujda, with people clapping and the zagrit and all that. so it's great to be here.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And you're welcome. Marwan, maybe you have a last question for you.
Hello, everybody. So your performance was really super fantastic yesterday. So congratulations. I have just a question concerning the Gharnati style. Have you thought before of an added value to this style, for example, to combine this style with another American musical style, for example? Thank you.
We have not tried this kind of fusion, right? Like usually what we do is we work with one tradition or another, but we also play a big range of styles. So for example, just recently we did a song from the 1950s from Lili Bonish, Algerian singer, who he began in Gharnati, basically, and you can hear that a little bit, even though it's a tango, right? There's you can hear a little kind of taste of Gharnati in the singing, in the melody, but we have not. But one thing we should do. We actually have people here who play in the ensemble for American kind of folk music. So lots of people in this group have played and play. In fact, I play, and Fiona plays, and Rachel plays American kind of old-time music, we call it. So a lot of us have experience playing multiple kinds of music, and of course they influence one another in different ways. People sometimes say that my ways of kind of doing ornaments on the viola when I play Gharnati, they say that doesn't sound like Gharnati. That's a little influence from something else. But that's where interesting things can come from.
So we have one more question to go. So the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning. I'm really happy to see you here in American Cora. I would like to thank you so much. Welcome. And I really liked the show yesterday. And for me, I never listened to this kind of music, but yesterday it was an opportunity for me to listen to it, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. And I want to ask you how it was your feelings to see all these people that enjoying the show yesterday and clapping their hands and all of that. Yes, thank you.
Well, that's a great comment, actually. So I think I'll quote the director. Right? He said to me, he said, listening to you makes us love our music more. And, when you asked about the audience, it's interesting. In the United States, there are many different kinds of audiences. There are people who've, never heard anything like this, and so it's something kind of strange and bizarre and curious. There are a lot of people in the United States, Americans, who really want to know more about Middle Eastern culture, about Arabic culture, and they're really hungry for something besides politics in the news. They're really hungry for culture. And then we have people who have some connection to the Middle East, maybe some connection to Islam, maybe some connection to the Arab world, or they come from those places. And for them, coming to our concert can be a great source of pride. And I often have, it happens often that parents of students will come and say, you really woke up an interest in our own culture, from our kids. You made them really discover a new part of our culture and really take pride and become more interested in our own culture. So I think that's an interesting role for me to play, because my background is not at all from the Arab world. So
Okay,
I think it's
Jonathan,
pretty exciting.
after this great achievement, what can you say in Arabic to the Association of Ahbab Sheikh Saleh and all the people who have been working with you all that time?
السعيدة وإن شاء الله نكون بخير في الرباط وفي مراكش وشكرا جزيلا على هذا الاستقبال. شكرا.
I think now it's time for a little performance.